Hey Insidious fans, we hope you're excited for our new movie Insidious The Red Door. Go see it in theaters on July 7th.
My brain just been foggy past few years. All I ever wanted was to be a good dad. Dalton.
Patrick, how are you?
Good.
Congratulations on the film. First of all, let me tell you that Insidious has been one of my favorite horror films of all time, so it's an honor.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
As I've seen, from this perspective, you have become one of the most well-known names in horror in the last years. So how was that build-up from watching other directors do the job and now you being the one crafting such a special movie like this one?
First of all, I'm super fortunate to have been a part of these two franchises, and really it all began, my relationship with James Wan, and really my relationship with horror in general started with the first Insidious film. So it seemed like a rightful fit. If that's what started my trajectory into horror franchises and horror movies, whatever it was, 13 years ago. So it made sense for it to heavily influence the beginning of my directing career. So it's certainly a huge blessing and an honor to take the keys to the kingdom.
You play kind of the audience in this film. Like, your character is presented with all this demonic information, and I love how you reacted and helped Dalton overcome his problem. So how was working together? Because for me, your relationship seemed really authentic.
Yeah, I think that, usually when you watch a horror movie, the no, don't, there was somebody on screen who got to do that. And it was Chris, and it was so fun being that person in a horror movie, a little bit of a dose of logic or common sense, but then who ultimately decides to go along for the ride anyway, like everyone who sits down in a horror movie theater. So it was very fun to be able to play in that way.
You've done a bunch of movies after the Insidious franchise, but never another horror movie. Were you saving for this moment? Was it just like a special calling that you had for this one? What happened?
Horror has always been a part of my life that's been a love-hate relationship until quite recently. Like when I was young, it was a very jarring and almost scary experience for me as a kid to be on these sets. And as I've grown older, I've found more love for horror, and whenever any other horror movie came my way, it never felt right. I'm a big believer in when you're gonna do a movie if it feels right. And like when they offered me the Insidious movie, it just made sense. There was no hesitation. It was like, this is something that kind of brought me into the spotlight when I was a kid, and having this be my first lead role, it made total sense, and I was so excited to be a part of it.
So I have always wanted to ask you, what makes Insidious so special for you?
For me, the reason Insidious is so special is that we made, 13 years ago, we made Paranormal Activity, and it became a big hit. And everyone said, well, Jason, you got lucky. You could never make another horror movie that would work, and it's never going to happen again. And they said, this is the Blair Witch Project. And I said, no. I said, I think there's really something to making the kind of indie-feeling, indie-spirited, super scary horror movies, low-budget horror movies. At that time, James and Lee came into my office. I had a little office on the lot at Fox, and they came into my office, and James had just done a couple movies for Universal that didn't really work, so he was kind of in director's jail. And James said, I want to make another scary movie. He said, the only thing is it has to be PG-13, because I'm known for making Saw, and I don't want to be known for that. I want to be known for other things. And I said, this movie is great. I said, James, can you make the whole movie for $1 million? And he said, well, I made Saw for $300,000, so $1 million should be fine.
Yeah.
And we gave him $1 million. And he made Insidious. And as a company, Blumhouse did it again. And so to answer your question, the most important thing about the Insidious movies is that they were the foundation of Blumhouse, and Blumhouse really wouldn't exist in the way that it does without those two movies. And then the other thing I would say is the other reason the movies are so important is that my professional and personal relationships with James and Lee have been, very important to me. We've done 7 movies with Lee. We're about to do another movie with Lee. We're about to formally partner with James beyond Megan and the movies that we've done together. We're going to formally partner with him. So they're two of some of the most important people for Blumhouse, and that's also all because of Insidious. So it's a long answer to your question, but Insidious holds a very special place in my heart for those reasons, other reasons too, but those are the 2 biggest reasons.
What I like about you and this film, that you layer more aspects of the personal life of actually like the Lamberts.
Yeah.
So family is one of the main themes in these films. How was this feeling of getting the family all reunited again and crafting something bigger than all of you?
Yeah, that was, I had this idea because the original sort of concept only had Josh and Dalton in it. Now, we've kept the nuts and bolts of that, but I knew if I was going to do this movie, I was going to address what happened at the end of the second film. Without judging it, I just felt like we would deal with that differently, meaning maybe that's not the way to deal with trauma, to say it doesn't exist, right? You forget it. It worked, and it totally works in the second film. 2023, I don't know if we deal with it like that anymore. So I wanted to address that. And I knew if I did that, I needed Rose. I needed to at least to be able to turn to the person that held the secret and go, why didn't you tell me? So I wanted that relationship fallout. I wanted that domestic problem. So I called Rose and I said, is there a world where I can do this movie without you? Yes, but I don't want to live in that world. So I didn't need her for a lot because it really was a concentration on father and sons. And that was something that was important to me and something that I related to, something that I wanted to explore. But I needed her in the film. So that's how I started building it.
I have a little time left, but I want to ask you, like, the Insidious lore is really well crafted. So I wanted to ask you, what is your favorite ghost or ghoul from the franchise?
I I forget what his official name is, but I remember back in the day it was called the Long-Haired Fiend. And he was in the first movie, and he's wearing this big trench coat, and he's always lurking around the house and creeping in on the family. Just, that is such a weird, creepy guy, but also I remember he was like one of the ghosts that I wasn't afraid of when I was a kid, and so I'd always talk to him, and I really
like him.
That's great. That using fair.
I like that black witch woman. What's her name?
I know her.
Yeah, her.
Don't worry, because we always change their names. Even if we are fans of the franchise, we always change the name of the ghosts.
Yeah, Sarah or whatever her name is. She's always been super creepy, and I like her.
and I think that what you complimented what you said, Blumhouse has become really trustful and trustworthy, with not only with the director but with the audience. And we love your work, we kind of keep pushing of what you're gonna do next. And I know that you keep pushing boundaries of horror entertainment. And following up with your interest in making video games, could we expect, beside original IPs, also IPs like Insidious to come into like any other medium? I'm not talking only video games, but other mediums.
Yeah, the one thing I've been looking a lot at is live events, and I've done it before. We did a Purge live event that toured the United States, and I'm trying to figure out a way to take some of our movies, and every year at Halloween Horror Nights we have in the mazes, we've had Insidious maze a bunch of years, and so I'm trying to figure out a way to have a kind of a permanent Blumhouse live event which incorporates some of our movies. I don't know if we'll figure it out, but I'm trying.
We need to have a theme park. That's the answer.
Well, maybe just part of a theme park. Maybe part of a theme park.
You working with them before and knowing in the acting side how they work and personally know them, help you drive them into the direction that you wanted them to help to be?
Yes, I mean, I think it's different with everyone. Rose, I have obviously I adore working with her, and she's one of the best in the business, period, in any genre. I don't know anyone that can go so seamlessly between comedy and horror. Don't know. So to me, I think there has to be an equal amount of respect to be able to direct somebody that you're acting with, because that could go south very quickly. So I told her what I wanted. It was more of a discussion on, should we try this when you're talking about direction. Now it's different with Ty, because I knew this was going to be a role bigger than he had ever done. I knew that the demands, the emotional demands, the acting demands were going to be much more than he had ever encountered, and that's okay. I wanted that challenge, and I wanted him to have that challenge. I've known him since he was 3. It was tough for him. I'm not gonna lie. This is not a cakewalk. This was not. There were a lot of days that I don't know if he had fun. I think it was rewarding, but I don't know if it was fun. But that's okay. When you're unpacking this kind of trauma, it's tough. That's why I wanted to surround him with other people that, Sinclair Daniel, who I found, who I absolutely love, she's from a theater school. She kind of speaks the same language as I do. So I was able to direct her in a much more efficient manner. And I knew she would help Ty as well. Not even literally, but just, I wanted to surround him with people that were gonna give him the best chance to succeed.
Patrick is he's an actor, so he's a very technical, like, he knows how to communicate with other actors when he's directing. And it's very nice it's like a fresh change, like he knows, he has an actor's mind, so he knows what to say in order for you to get what he wants. And he's very clear with that.
Yeah, and I also felt like because there was this level of comfortability, he's been in this world for so long, he was very quickly able to, with our relationship at least, foster scenarios that would make sense. Because he knows Dalton in and out, and he now knows Chris in and out. And so if we ever had questions, we could always go to him, and if neither of us knew, we would sit there for a minute and we'd figure it out, which I find very comforting.
Talking about that, when you were a child, were doing those films like 13 years ago, what realizations you had in this movie that you didn't have while filming the first 2 Insidious movies?
I think a big part of it is just how the movie is made, and kind of like where you can allow yourself to really have fun with it in different ways. And like a big thing for me is creating the scares. That I had so much fun with, like being able to just like see these weird creations in front of you, these demons in front of you that's like actually there, and you are creating the tension that's building up to them freaking out an audience, and that the audience in that moment is gonna be like, no, don't go in the door, or like whatever it is. Like just knowing that that's what you're doing it's so much fun.
Amazing. Thank you very much. You were so kind. Thank you very much. And again, it's been an honor.
The riskier your journey will become.